of game development. In this session, I would like to explain about what is Unity and how we can create games with Unity, and also I want to introduce to you all the Unity interface and functions of the Unity by simply presenting a demo of some random movement, shooting, wall climbing, etc. So starting with the Unity, how would you install it? Uh, Go to Google and search Unity Hub download. So after installing the Unity Hub download, you must create an account. And after installing Unity Hub, you should install Unity Editor in this by this option. And after installing Unity Editor, it also comes with an attachment of Visual Studio Code. So no need to worry about. Starting with the Unity, this is Unity layout, which is an hierarchy window where all the game objects are present. It's a project window where all your assets like images, scripts, etc. are present. And it's an inspector window which gives the details about the objects. So let's create an empty file here and name it as a layer. Also, I'm creating two files here. Assets. Right side generally 2D game objects. I'm creating one file, another file is for scripts. So yeah, when you come to the player object, add a frame renderer. So you could assign some object to him. Just a minute. I've added a blank way and adding it to the sprite so you can visually see it here, and can also scale it from you can scale it from 2, or you can scale it on. Also you can make its position like 4. You can move just on x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis, and also you can rotate the object some. So I'm making it as a default. So after this, it's too big for me, so I'm just adjusting it. If you press Ctrl D, it makes a copy. I'm making it as a ground now. So yeah, and name this as just a minute. name this as a ground. After doing it, add a component called as box collider 2D. So you can see here the green boundaries are registered here, so it detects collisions. And also add another component called as rigid body 2D. So when you add rigid body 2D, all the physical forces can be applied to this body. And also add 2D collider, box collider to this object. So when you, this is a game interface. So when you push the play button, you could see that the object falls due to, as it's a rigid body and due to gravity it falls on the ground. So you need movement for this. So I'm creating a script called as air movement and opening it. So this is the interface of the C sharp script. You know, you don't need this, so I'm just deleting it. So now, using Unity Engine is a library where you can use all different Unity functions, etc. And public class player moment, which is a name of the script I've created, and mono behavior, which you could use for only single behavior, like I'm creating it for a single agenda. So starting with, I should assign speed to an object. So I'm creating a variable speed. After creating it, I want to edit this in Unity. So I'm using a method serialize field. So you could also edit the speed in Unity editor. I would show you for some time. And also a body, another variable called body. It is a type of rigid body. I'm using rigid body 2D here and also body as a variable. After that, uh, I'm using another method called awake. This awake method is initialized before starting of every frame in the game. So this method is used to assign variables. So I'm assigning body, get the components from the rigid body. So since I've added a rigid body component to the player object before, I'm initializing it with a rigid body 2D, and that make me to another method called update. It is a method where it gets updated with every frame. It runs from each frame. Like if you have 60 frames per second, it runs 60 times per second. So in this update method, I'm updating body using a dot operator and with a velocity so that it updates it position for every second. So I'm assigning a new with vector 2. So since I'm using a 2D object, I'm creating vector 2. So what is vector 2? So it gets updated in this scale objects every time. You will get updated its position. So after getting it, I'm using a method called as put dot get axis horizontal. Horizontal. So what does this method do? When I'm pressing like A or D or side arrows, the position gets updated each and every time. So since I only want to move it sideways, I'm assigning it as an horizontal, and I'm multiplying it with the speed, comma. This is all you would use for x-axis, and I want to keep the y-axis as the same. So I'm using body dot velocity dot y. So it assigns as a previous what it really has. So it gets updated every time. So save it, and since I've assigned a speed here, okay, first clicking there, I'm assigning, I'm adding a C sharp component here. So you can see here, you can edit speed here. So I'm assigning it as 10 for example, and run the game file. You could see you can get a movement here now, like pressing the side arrows. And I also want the player to get jump. So I'm using if dot get key code dot space. So when I click the space button, it returns a value one. So if gets executed, now I'm assigning body dot velocity equals to new vector 2 again, and I'm keeping the x position same. So I'm using body dot velocity dot x, and I'm updating my position. So since I've created a speed, I'm updating it with the speed variable. So yeah, no issues. Running the game, you could see I can jump now, but it's too floaty now. So let's move to the animation. So I would explain how you could add an animation and run through it. Just a minute. So after using it, go to Windows and search for asset store. Search online. I'm importing some assets to create. It is not working. The website is not